How much do DoorDash drivers really make? I decided to make this series for people who are interested in becoming a DoorDash driver, for new Dashers who are still trying to figure things out, and even for more experienced Dashers who still don't quite understand what goes into a Dasher's income. So before we get started, there are some important things we need to discuss when talking about a Dasher's income overall. Now there are 4 key terms I need to explain when it comes to DoorDash. The first is market. What DoorDash market or DoorDash area we are looking at plays a big role in the money Dashers can make in that certain area. So there are varying degrees of what a DoorDash market is. For instance, you can take an area that DoorDash gives you on their map and call that your area. But sometimes these areas can cover miles and miles of space. Like, take mine for instance. Technically this whole space is my DoorDash market, but if I were to dash all over it, that would cover about 100 square miles, and I'm not trying to drive back and forth that much. So you can do what I do and say, well, I'm going to set my own guidelines and DoorDash in places that are best for me. So I only dash in this area, which covers about 2 towns and adds up to about 40 square miles, and has a population of about 110,000 people. But if you were to live in a highly dense populated city, then your area might only cover about 10 square miles, and that would work just fine as well. But I felt like I needed to explain where I dash and show you the population and the square miles so that you guys could better understand some points I make throughout this series. Now the other key terms we need to understand are active time, dash time, and peak pay. Active time is the amount of time you are actually on clock with an order, either going to pick it up, waiting at the restaurant, or going to deliver it. Dash time is the time that you are actually available to receive an order, or if your dash is paused for any reason. So for the purpose of this series, I am counting dash time as the time I work, not just the active time. When it comes to dash time, I will let you guys know if my dash was paused for any reason and for how long, so we can get a better idea of how much I'm actually making per hour. Now peak pay definitely affects how much a Dasher makes. What peak pay is extra money DoorDash throws onto orders when it gets busy enough and they need more Dashers on the road. So if at any time I have peak pay during the series, I will let you know and we will subtract it from the total so that once again we can get a better understanding of how much I'm really making. Basically, all this is doing is eliminating as many variables as possible so I can give you guys the best information I can. Now I'm going to be giving you guys 3 different types of how much money a DoorDash driver makes. We'll be looking at gross pay, which is the amount of money I'm making before taxes and before any accounted expenses. We'll be looking at regular job pay, which is how much we are making after expenses but before taxes, in turn showing us our hourly pay compared to those with regular employee jobs. And lastly, we will be looking at our net pay, or the money that we actually get to keep in our pockets, which is how much we make after taxes and expenses. Next, we need to cover what types of Dashers there are, so that depending on which type you decide you want to be, you can connect what pay you can expect to see. Now, there are full-time Dashers, which is just your standard 8 hours a day during the week. There are part-time Dashers, which is usually just working the dinner shift. And there are weekend Dashers who only dash on weekends. So part 1 of this series, which we are covering today, will be focusing on the full-time Dasher. In this video, I will be working from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. and then 3:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., giving us our 8 hours for the day. Lastly, we need to discuss the 4 types of dashing strategies. There is accepting every order, decline now, which is accepting no orders below $7. There is cherry picking, which is accepting no order under $2 per mile. And there is the top Dasher strategy, which is accepting 70% or more of the orders you receive. Now for the purpose of this series, I'm going to kind of do a mix of what I thought would be the most general strategy that works for the highest amount of Dashers out there. And that is accepting orders with at least $1 per mile unless that order is going to a bad restaurant or taking me out of my area. So with all that said, let's get started. What's up guys, my name is Blake Moore, welcome to More Finance, and today we're just doing a good old-fashioned ride-along. Now I've already gone for 2 hours for the lunch shift and I made $42. Let's stop it right there for a second. So like I told you guys, sometimes my dash time is going to be off because my dash has been paused. So as you guys can see here, my dash time is 3 hours and 9 minutes. But I had to start my dash at 10:44 because I didn't want to lose the shift that I had available to me, and so I had to pause it and unpause it twice, which led to it being paused for an hour. So we went for 2 hours from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Just thought I'd let you guys know so that we don't get confused between the dash time and the active time. And as you guys can see, my active time was an hour and 30 minutes, but my dash time in all reality was 2 hours. So not a big discrepancy between dash time and active time, but the half-hour discrepancy that there is due to me not receiving orders constantly or me declining orders that I didn't want to accept. And so I just got my first order. It's actually a stack order, and it's not the best order in the world, I'm not gonna lie, but I wanted to take it because it's my first ever IKEA order. I've never taken one of these before, but this one, $10.50 payout, and it's going 8.7 miles, so I figured might as well try it out considering that it's still the 3 o'clock hour, which is probably the slowest hour in my market. So this order actually isn't that bad considering the time of day. So we're on our way to go pick it up right now. I'm interested to see what exactly it is and how the whole process works at IKEA. Well guys, overall that was loud. That was a Chipotle order for 11 miles and only a $7 payout. So the worst of both worlds. Chipotle, long wait, and long miles. Definitely declining that. But what I was saying is that the IKEA pickup was definitely smooth. It was ready when I got there, and another order. I'll actually accept this one. This one's not too bad. So anyways, the order was ready when I got there. It was just food from the food court. I didn't know if it was going to be like appliances or what it was going to be, but yeah, just food from the food court. Went smoothly, ready when I got there, so nothing to complain about. And now I'm on to the next one. Hour one of this shift is in the books, and we made $21.25. Now this is technically hour 3 of the day, so far throughout the entire day, we are at $63.25. So that means that we're still averaging over $21 for the entire day, which is a really good hourly pay for a Thursday. And I actually just got another order. Let's check it out. Oh, this one's actually not too bad. I think I'm going to take it. $8.25 for 5.9 miles. That's not too bad, honestly. And this place usually has it ready when I get there, so definitely a place that I want to pick up from. So there was an order in between that one that I just accepted and the one I dropped off. It was this order right here. Pretty bad order in general. Had to decline it. And yeah, now we're on our way to pick up this order from Sbarro. I don't really know how to say it, but I think that's how it is. Little update for you guys. We just finished our 4th hour of the shift and we are at $82. So that's still an average of over $20 an hour for the day. So we're still in pretty good shape. So the next order I got was this one right here, which I ended up declining because even though it was $7.75 for only 5.6 miles, which falls under my rule of $1 per mile, and KFC isn't too bad of a restaurant. So normally I probably would have accepted this order, but as you guys can see, it takes me out of my area, clear over into Cottonwood Heights, which I do not ever dash in. So that's why I declined this order. Alright guys, we are quite a bit of the way through this shift and we are at $132. So not bad at all. I think we're at about 6.5 hours, so still averaging right around $20 an hour. But I decided I needed to take a break, and so I went and picked up some Panda Express to eat. So I'm going to eat this real quick and then we'll be right back at it making that money. Well guys, that brings us to the end of our shift. So now we're going to talk about the 3 different pay types that I said we were going to go over at the beginning of this video, which are gross pay, regular job pay, and net pay. So for the gross pay, you just take the amount of money you made from Doordash and you divide it by the amount of hours you worked. So we made $159.39 in 8 hours of work, which means our hourly pay was $19.92. Now to get the regular job pay, you take the total amount of money you made, which we made $159.39. You have to figure out how much money you spent on expenses. So we have our gas expense and we have our car savings and car repairs expense. So for the gas expense, you take the miles you drove, which for me was 112.1 miles, and you divide it by the amount of miles that your car gets on a full tank of gas, which is 500. So for me, that was about 22% of a full tank of gas. So then you have to figure out how much money you spend on a full tank of gas, which for me is $65. Then you take that 22% that we got, and then you multiply that number by the amount of money it takes to fill up a full tank of gas in your car, which like I said is $65 for me. So 0.22 times 65 gives us a $14.57 car expense. Now to get the car savings and the car repairs, I've come to find out that taking 5% of the total amount of money you make after taxes usually works pretty well. So 5% for me is $6.52, which means our total expenses were $21.09 for the day. So then you take that number and you subtract it from your gross pay, which means at a regular employee job, we would have made $138.30 and our hourly would have been $17.29. Now for the net profit that we made for the day. So to get this number, you have to subtract taxes and expenses from your gross pay, which we already have our expenses calculated, so now we just need to factor in the taxes. So the way you do taxes is you have to figure out the miles you drove, which if you need a mileage tracker, you can use the app GRIDWISE. They are a great app. You can use the link down in the description that I have for you guys. But you take the miles you drove, which for us was 112.1, and you multiply it by 0.56. That's because for every mile you drive, you get a 56-cent tax deduction. And I'm not going to go into what a tax deduction is in this video, but I will be going over it in later videos. And if you want to check out my playlist Gig Finance, then I talk a lot more about that in that playlist. So for our tax deduction, we get $62.78, which means the total that we have to pay taxes on is only $96.61. And I usually save away 30% of that towards taxes, and I'll explain that more in a later video as well, so stay tuned as to why I get that 30%. But if we take that 30%, we end up with $28.98 that we have to pay towards taxes, which means our total after taxes is $130.41. But then we have to subtract the expenses, which was $21.09, and that gets us to our total net pay of $109.32, which means our net pay per hour was only $13.67. So hopefully this video is able to give you guys some great information and some great tips. Stay tuned for part 2 of this video, where we can be going over what you can expect to make on a weekend shift. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button for me, and also hit that subscribe button if you enjoy my content. Also, if you want to see more content from me, go check out my other channel, Doordash Driver Reacts. And as you guys know, you're the best subscribers in the entire world, and I'll see you guys next time.